this big Hatteras has been blasted. Everybody wants to use the word sand blasted, but this was technically glass blasted. And you can see right there, 100% recycled true glass, true abrasives. So that's glass, it's not sand, it's not walnut shells like you may have heard. And you can see where they've blasted off 30 years, 30 years of bottom paint off the bottom of this boat. It's pretty smooth. We can see a couple of voids from manufacturing. These are not osmotic blisters, these are voids. You can see where it's down into the actual raw fiberglass right here. You can see that big propeller's been blasted. The strut, the shafts were not blasted, but the shafts are clean. Nice size rudder. And you can see these holes up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are called vents. So as the propeller pushes water up, it will vent the water out through this, which we at one time thought was the exhaust pipe for the generators, but these are vent exhaust. And the way that we discovered that was when the guys hauled the boat out, they squirted water pressure in here, and water came out those vents up there. So we figured that out. This is the transformer, the stern of the boat. Look at those big exhaust pipes. Big exhaust pipes. So here is a recess built by the factory. You can see it's 2 knuckles deep. 2 knuckles deep. And that's where the tabs went. And I'm using the word tabs. They were not trim tabs. You can see the tabs laying over there on the ground, those big silver aluminum tabs. I'm calling them tabs, not trim tabs, because they did not move. They did not cycle up and down or deploy like trim tabs do. But they were screwed in with tapping screws here, and the brackets were bolted in with through bolt there and there. 4 of them here for the centerpiece, and then these were through bolted here. You can see one's got a little bit of water leaking out of it, but this was the middle piece, so they had a large tab port, large tab starboard, and then a strange tab here in the middle. I'll get a picture of that when we come around the side. And this is the vent for the starboard prop. Another big exhaust pipe. Look at that big exhaust pipe. And coming around the side, you can see the big 5-blade propeller, the giant strut with the donut or the pancake zinc. That's a shaft collar zinc. This is a splicer, splicing the back shaft to the forward shaft. This is a intermediate strut, pardon the language, an intermediate strut. And the shaft is so long, it actually has another strut up here in the front. I'll say the front, the forward part. And then you can see where the shaft goes into the shaft log, through a shaft seal into the engine room. So that's what we've got for the shafts, port and starboard side of the boat. And you can see the white part of the boat, that's all gel coat from the factory. All this is white and wonderfully smooth. This piece we haven't figured out yet, but that's some kind of a keel cooler. It's not actually on the keel, but it's an external cooling tube. And we're just guessing that this is for some type of refrigeration system on the boat. Mind you, this boat was built for France, and they may have put different equipment in it on French boats. Although it was built in the USA, it was built for French standards. This is the exhaust, underwater exhaust for the generator. There's 2 generators on the boat. And continue walking up front. Looks like we had a little accident right here, maybe a disc grinder or sander or something. And now we're getting up to the bow thruster. So you can see that the bow thruster is not an original installation to the boat. You can see where it was glassed in place. See the big bow thruster outdrive unit with the 3-bladed propeller. This is probably a seawater pickup for the anchor washdown pump. And looking up there, you can see the anchor is a big Danforth style anchor. Now we're on the cool side. You can see a little bit more of the bow thruster installation work from years and years ago. By the way, I see 1, 2, 3 bags of aggregate over here. They're probably waiting to get a forklift to lift them up and put them back on the truck, because you know they're pretty heavy. If it was sand, and even if it's glass beads, they're pretty heavy. Here's another bag here on a pallet. And looking here on the port side of the boat, you can see the sending units for the depth gauges are right there and right there. So imagine the sending unit is here, and it goes down and shoots to the seafloor way down here. That's about a 3-foot distance. So you may want to subtract 3 feet. So it's going to read 0 right there. And looking all the way back at your propellers, way back there. That way you can guarantee yourself that the propellers or the keel won't touch bottom if you're using these depth gauges, if they're offset to read 0 from down there below the keel. So these are just a couple of ideas. If you're buying an older boat and you want to do a major renovation or refit to it, blasting the bottom might be in order instead of grinding. It's not as dangerous. It won't chew up through the fiberglass, and it does a really wonderful job. Here we are back at the glass beads bag. So I think we're counting 5 bags. This is the strange piece that goes in the middle between the starboard tab and the port tab. So that's the middle piece that actually came off of the boat right here in this area, bracketed up there, and the guys that took everything off left all the screws up here in case somebody wants to do it with the screws. So now we've got to have the guy fill in all these holes all the way across, those holes and those holes. Then he's got to build this out, and with my camera you may not see it, but there's a curve to the transom. So install the Humphreys brand interceptor blades. This needs to be perfectly flat. The fiberglass guy needs to take the curve out of the transom, and he needs to fill in this recessed area so that they can fit the perfect flat fit Humphreys interceptor tabs. So that's all we've got to report right now. Hopefully in a couple of days they will have a stern thruster installed right here. So to install the stern thruster, we don't know how far over it's going to go. May have to pull that light out, that light. And then inside the boat they'll have to put the electric motor for the 24-volt stern thruster. Then we'll start figuring out what to do with the trim tabs, the Humphrey interceptor trim tabs, to make the stern flat so that they can be installed. If you've got any questions about boats, project management, or Humphrey's trim tabs, ask Captain Chris.